Hey guys, good afternoon. It's Tuesday, the 5th of December, I believe, and I wanted to get in touch with you guys if I could. One topic I really wanted to cover, and another one that it's weird, I was going to cover it, and last week something happened where I started to talk about a subject, and I turned on the radio in the morning, and there's a couple of sports talk shows I listen to. One of the gentlemen was almost saying exactly what I said word for word. I think that one was sports related. Today, I plan on talking about something. I stepped out of my car at lunchtime. I kid you. Oh, no, I'm sorry, but I didn't step in my car. I did step out of my car, but when I got in my car, I turned on my phone and checked the news, and I get my news off of Yahoo, but I guess I'm on Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. Although I don't really know how to use it, but I had a bunch of tweets, so I went and looked on them. And one of the tweets was by that same sports radio broadcaster named Clay Travis, and his tweet was exactly what I was going to talk about. So for fear of sounding like I'm trying to pilfer the guy's information, I'll let that part go. But I will let you know what it was about. So apparently, a woman is filing a grievance against an airline, and the reason being is she named her daughter. Her name literally is ABCDE, and she pronounces it like Absidy. And I guess the folks at TSA saw it, and some guy was just tearing it up, and he was saying it in front of a little girl, so the mother took exception, but then apparently he was taking video, which I don't think is cool at all. But I mean, when you set your kids up with something like A, B, C, D, E, I mean, what are you doing, folks? And I'll leave it at that because that's essentially the rant that Clay Travis went off on, and I don't want to seem like I'm pilfering his material, but I get we all want to be unique with our names and for the kids and stuff like that. But I mean, when you do something like that, you're almost setting them up, I think, in a pretty cruel way. But that's just my thoughts. But the topic I did want to talk about today, I did some thinking about it last night. So last night I ran into somebody who he was a really cool guy that I didn't know that well, but I knew at the start of the journey. He started to follow me, and again, the one thing that I'll say over and over when people ask me the strangest thing that's happened on the journey was this male bonding. Like I said, I knew the older generation would understand what I was doing and why I was doing it. And I think the moms would understand why I didn't know I would bond with other guys. Whether they be 25 years old or 75 years old, it really opened my eyes. Anyway. Harvey Erb, whose birthday it was just a few days ago, and I ran into each other last night, and he was just really excited about seeing me and hearing a little bit about the journey, and he'd been supporting me the whole time. And it was really neat to share that story with him, or some of the stories, not a lot, but again, it's neat to thank him for supporting me. But what it made me realize, and I think I did a pretty good job of this on the journey, there was a day, you guys don't know about this yet, or maybe you do if you follow me the whole way through, but there was a day near the end that was really, really scary for me. Not scary in a sense that I was threatened by anybody, scary that I would just finish the day, let alone survive. I was out in the California desert, and it was there were a whole bunch of things that went into it. But anyway, and literally I was pretty frightened that day. And I can recall that day vividly as I'm sitting here right now. And there were times, it was a long day. And there were times where I was gassed on the side of the road, and cars were blowing by me. And, this happened a lot on the journey, especially early on when I was on mostly the major highways. I never once expected to be offered a ride or picked up or had someone pull over and say, "Are you okay?" It happened a couple of times. People would check in on me and say, "Are you okay?" But that particular day, if somebody asked, it would have been really, really meaningful to me because it was a scary day. But at the same time, I never blamed anybody for stopping. That was kind of what this journey was about, was exposing that right there. Back in the older days when we lived in a more peaceful time, at least by, I guess, by what we knew, The perception was it was a more peaceful time. I think people would offer to stop and people would hitchhike, and there was more of a commonality. But I was reading in the news, I think it happened over the weekend, it might have happened Monday. A woman in Baltimore, and this is tragic, from my understanding, she was in the passenger seat of a car at a traffic light, and there was a woman holding up a sign saying needed food for her daughter or her child, looked homeless. And the woman opened up a purse and reached in to give her some money. And as the woman walked over with the money, another man came running up that apparently was in cahoots with this other person and tried to steal the wallet. And when she wouldn't give up the wallet, the person reached in the car and stabbed her in the heart. And this woman ended up passing away. So, you know, I'm not disappointed, and I don't blame anybody for not stopping and picking me up. I don't know that I would either. Again, how many people have I driven by in my lifetime? But just processing that makes it all the more remarkable when you look back at the folks that allowed me to be a part of their lives, folks that let me into their home. In fact, heck, you've got Stephanie and George out in Albuquerque. Let me stay in their home. Well, they went to work, for crying out loud, without any fear of me doing anything. And in one way, it's ultra flattering. Another way, you might think them crazy. But when you think that I was able to survive, 4 months out there walking across the country, based on the goodness of others, nobody would fault anybody if I never had a place to stay at all. You hear those stories about this woman in Baltimore, and it just boggles the mind. Here she's trying to help out someone and I've heard those stories all along the way. These people, every interstate. In fact, I remember I was up in northern Indiana, and they followed the person home, got in his car, drove home to his apartment. That was his living, panhandling. But he panhandled under a false guise. He didn't say, hey, can I have some money to pay my rent? I'm homeless, I'm this, I'm that. And this woman reached out to do something to make someone's day a little bit better, and that was her reward. So it's pretty crappy, and I certainly understand it. But last night, not only was I thinking about the woman who suffered, but think about that for a minute, and don't think about the negative on my journey. Don't think about the days I didn't get a place to stay, or I didn't have someone see if I was okay. There were plenty of those days for sure. But on the other hand, think of how many people reached out to me, a perfect stranger, and gave me a roof, gave me some money for food. As I'm still writing the book, but as I'm talking about this, it almost seems like that might be a perfect final chapter for the book. And just think about that for a minute. How possible is it that many people, and there were a great many, that reached out to me like that? It's just amazing to think about. So, relatively short and sweet today, guys. That's it. Don't name your kid A, B, C, D, E, please. Good Lord. I got cut off yesterday. I had a good church experience on Sunday. My daughter didn't, but it's not for everybody just yet. We're going to try her in the kids class there, see if she feels more comfortable. But things are progressing along. Things are settling down here at work. I've got to get through December. I'm going to be working those 14-hour days, with regularity, until help comes along the way. But it's coming, and things will start to even out then. So, thanks for sticking by me and being a little bit patient with me until then. Love you all. And again, think about something like that. If you, embarked on any kind of journey, a day, a week, a month, whatever, how many people would you expect or could you count on to reach out to you, do you think? And